I'm Alison from Perspective Interactive, working on our project, Project Band.
What kind of game is it that your team is making, and what's it all about?
Our team is developing a puzzle platforming game where you play as the leader of a band. Now the band is about to play the music for an annual town festival, but right before the rehearsal, a big gust of wind comes and blows away all the sheet music. The conductor then asks you, as the leader, if you wouldn't mind going with a few of the band members and collecting all the sheet music before you play. You'll take the 3 band members with you as you go to 3 different areas to collect the sheet music before the festival. Now this is where the puzzle platforming comes in. The 3 members each have their own special abilities that are tied to their instruments. The drummer will play his drum and he'll be able to break certain objects. This will gain access to certain areas that you couldn't reach before. The tubist will play and he has the ability to raise objects. So if there's platforms that need to be raised, then he can use them. And the flutist has the ability to control wind. So when she plays her flute, things will move on the horizontal axis. With these 3 skills, you'll be leading the team to collect the sheet music and hopefully save the day.
How did you decide to go with the final characters that we see here?
It took us a long time deciding on the characters. We nitpicked every little thing, like what instrument they had, how the instrument looked, what style it was, the gender of the character, their age, how much hair they had, what hairstyle they had, what color it was, how much facial hair they had, their body size, all these little details. Luckily, we were all picturing approximately the same theme for each individual, but it really was a process. I feel because we were so specific on these details, and that we have reasons as to why everything is the way it is and how it all works together, that although the band doesn't speak throughout the game, they still have personality, and this personality is expressed visually through their appearance and through their animations.
How did your team come up with the idea of the game?
One of our team members had been watching the musical, The Music Man, over the summer, so when he suggested the idea of a game where you play as a band, but it's not rhythm-based, we were all hooked. I think we all look up to Nintendo. Being one of the developers whose games we grew up playing, we were inspired by the clean simplicity in their titles.
What aspects or mechanics of the game were your ideas?
As far as aspects and mechanics go, we all sat in a room and we had a bunch of meetings there. Long meetings. We had a dry erase board and we just threw up all our ideas, our sketches, our diagrams. We wanted to explore all the options, leave no stone unturned as they say, before we decided together on which was best for the game.
What's your role in the development of the game? What are some of the main things you've contributed to your game?
My role in the game is kind of all over the place. I modeled and rigged all of the characters. I designed a custom texture bank full of tileable textures that we could use throughout the game. I textured the buildings in the town. I animated some of the side characters. And now I'm going to be working on the UI and menu system.
Do you wish you had more of a say about the game?
I think we all have a fair amount of say in the game. We all have our areas of expertise. So even if I'm not the set dresser for a specific level, the idea that we wanted to reach by this level was already discussed in a meeting. And if any time during production I walk by and see that the person who's working on this level is doing something that I don't feel is quite right, I can point that out to them and we can discuss it. In the end, though, the final decision will be the person who's designing that level. Regardless, I feel confident with whatever decision they choose to make, because I feel confident in their skill. That's why we chose them to do that certain part of the game.
Is there anything you want to change about it?
Honestly, as the game develops, I'm just falling more in love with it. I can't say there's one part of it that I don't like, at least not yet.
Have you learned anything new? If so, what?
As a life lesson, I've learned that not everything you do will be put into the final product, but that's still okay. And the Unity development online community is so helpful and kind. Now with technique and skill, I definitely know I've grown stronger. I can't place my tongue on one particular skill or object, but as with anything, with more practice comes more experience, and you learn more shortcuts and easier ways to do things.
Is there anything you hope to learn or get experience doing during the development of your game?
Coming up for our next milestone, I'll be working on programming the UI and the menu system. I've done minor programming like this on projects before, but having the full reins on the way the UI is programmed, I'm kind of excited for. With the new UI stuff in Unity 4.6, I plan to learn as much as I can so that I can use it to its full potential for our game.
Have you come across any difficulties yet? If so, what were they?
I haven't had any real difficulties yet. Not to say it hasn't been challenging, but there haven't been any critical ruts that I've gotten stuck in.
What do you anticipate the most difficult part will be?
I think the most difficult part of development will be when we put it all together and just have to adjust how it all works as one.
How has your team dynamic and workflow been?
Our team dynamic has been working surprisingly well. Seeing as we didn't get to choose our entire team on our own, I think we mesh well together. Every team has its struggles. Sometimes one person may be a little bit too stubborn, sometimes one person may have a hard time understanding a point, sometimes you just have these problems.
Have you come across any obstacles in regards to team dynamics? How did you or would you handle such a scenario?
I've definitely grown a lot of patience through this. Patience and have a glass of water or coffee or something that you can sip on, so you have to take that extra second to think about what you're going to say before you say it.
What parts of your game are you most excited for people to experience and why?
All of it. I'm excited to see people experience our entire game. I want to hear their reactions as they go through certain areas. I want to see their face light up as they conquer a challenge. If people do Let's Plays, I'm going to watch every single one of them.
Is there any moral or message you want people to take away from your game?
Our game doesn't have any hidden messages or morals to it. It's just we wanted to create a fun game that people could enjoy.